We're not going to get a second chance in the game.
Glad you could join us today. My name is Steve Channell. I'm the head football coach at Miamisburg High School, which is in Ohio, in the southwest part of the state, Dayton, Cincinnati area. And I really appreciate the opportunity that Nate's given me here today to present some football ideas for you. Hopefully it could help your program. Specifically, I'm a wing T guy, so I assume you're listening to this because you have wing T interest. I think the wing T is a great offense. You hear that from every offensive coach. And I know we go through different struggles as far as what we do and where we limit what we're doing. The biggest thing is whether you're under center or in shotgun. So we are always under center. So as you're watching this, everything you're going to see or hear me talk about is always under center. So, and then we'll get into the reason of that later on. Okay, here's my contact information. There's my email. Anything I do today that you want more of, that you want to email me, or there's my school contact information, and hopefully I can help you in any way possible. Okay, I run a little wing T clinic that's pretty much invite only in the spring of the year. This year it's going to be March 10th. You can see that on the screen on that Saturday. There's all the information you can have from it. It's $20 per coach. You get breakfast, you get lunch, you get 8 hours of pure wing T football, and it's a really, really good clinic. If you have an interest, if you're in the immediate area, Ohio, Kentucky, Michigan, Indiana, Pennsylvania, etc., you're more than welcome to contact me about this. I think it's very important when you go to clinics to figure out why you go to a clinic, because clinic provide you with a lot of different outcomes. And so I just feel like going over this slide, the first thing a clinic's going to provide is confirmation. You may be watching this and you may be doing some trading and shifting and so forth of your formations, and you say, you know, I liked his presentation and that's what we're doing, so it gives you confirmation that what you're doing is good things. The second thing it calls you to do is to analyze. What I mean by that is it makes you evaluate how you're doing things. I mean, you go listen to somebody speak and their idea of doing this is a little bit different than how you're doing it, whether it be a belly blocking scheme or what have you. So it causes you to analyze what it is that you're doing. And then the third thing, naturally, what the clinic can provide is it's going to give you information and ideas. And it causes you as a coach or as a staff to brainstorm about that topic or what that person presented. And then you take that back to your own program and you can talk about it and discuss different ideas and thoughts about that. So it's an information gathering piece. Also, number 4 is you just may copy something. You may see someone, how they influence some blocking scheme on buck sweep or something of that nature, and you say, I really like that and it's easy to do, so I'm going to instill that into our offense. So you just copy it. And then the fifth thing is you find out, which I think is more important a lot of times, especially with younger coaches, is you figure out what you can't or you don't want to do. The biggest problem I think with wing T coaches is you have to limit what you're going to do to some degree. You just can't do everything. So you going to a clinic and listening, you got to figure out, we can't do that because they're a platoon program and they have twice as much coaching time for offense. We have a smaller school. We only have 45, 50 kids. We got to practice special teams, defense, offense. We don't have enough time to do install all that. Or you say, you know, I don't like that, that's not us, so we really don't want to do it. So that's pretty much what clinics should provide. There's a little bit of my background. I think it's important for people to know who they're listening to and what they're about. I've been a head coach now for 26 years. My first 2 years, like Nate's dad, Larry, I was an I formation guy. That was back in 1990, 91, 92 year, and we ran I formation. Then I knew we weren't going to have very much talent coming up, and so I went to a clinic, I believe it was in Louisville possibly, at one of the Nike clinics, and I listened to Tubby Raymonds from Delaware and his offensive coordinator, Ted Kempsky. And I listened to them talk about the Delaware wing tee, which I knew very little bit at the time. I was a young head coach. And I made arrangements for them after listening to them talk. And I actually went to Delaware to the university and sat down with them for 3 days and then decided I'm going to run the wing tee. Okay, so that's my background. 2 years I formation back in the early 90s, and then since then I've been a wing tee coach my entire career. So my topic for today is, I think you always have to look for little things you can do to create advantages. And I'm probably not going to show you anything that's earth-shattering or whatever, but it may be some things that you don't do that are easily to put into your program. And my topic is going to be, integrating multiple formations and, more importantly, trading and shifting your line backs, whoever, and then backfield sets to enhance your wing tee offense. And a lot of this is just trying to create an advantage over the defense that's just sitting there waiting to see where your strength is. They're going to declare their defense's strength, and they're going to angle that way, or they're going to angle to motion or whatever. So this gives the defense multiple things to have to deal with in a short period of time on the trading and shifting. I think it's very important to remember that the wing tee, I think, is a beautiful and effective offensive system with a lot of great parts to it. I kind of equate it to a smorgasbord. When you go in, you see all this great food, and it's like you're really hungry and you want to eat a little bit of everything there. Well, it all looks really good, but then you finally realize, I can't go in here and eat it all. My point is you can't do everything in a wing tee offense. I always tell younger coaches that the more water you put into the Kool-Aid, you lose the flavor of the Kool-Aid you're drinking, and then you don't know what it is. So there's so many old things in the wing tee that are good, and there's new things that are good. And my advice to a younger staff or coach is just figure out what it is you really like and focus on those things, and don't try to do too many things. And like the screen that says at the bottom, just don't outthink yourself. Because the more you do, the less you're going to do well. And that's my belief from being a head coach for many years. So why do I think this topic is beneficial? Number one, I think the biggest wing tee challenge is all of us go through is being predictable. Predictable by formation and tendency. And that's something that you get from defensive coordinators, that if you talk to them in the off season, out of state, where you're not having to compete against each other. When I go to clinics, I'm always looking for defensive coordinators to go talk to and talk about wing tee offense and how they break it down. And most of the basic things going to be by formation. So you're into an unbalanced over set with the split end over, and they're going to chart what you run out of that, and then they're going to chart what you run out of that based upon motion and so forth. So you're always having to have to see what your own tendencies are, okay? The second thing is, I think this is a good topic because I am always looking for ways and methods to create offensive advantages. We all know that, okay? And my goal is to create exposed flanks or bubbles on the line of scrimmage or misalignment by a defensive front, whether it be the first level, second level, or third level, and that's where the trading and shifting sometimes can create those situations for yourself. Another reason this topic, number three, shifting and trading for us takes very little time to install. We can do this in a matter of minutes once the kids understand the basic concept. But if you flip it to a defensive perspective, if you have 1 week to prepare, number one, for a wing tee team, which is difficult to prepare for if they execute very well, because the majority of the time that defensive coordinator and staff is defending spread concepts usually. I know the people we play on our schedule, 8 of the teams we play have spread principles, and that's what they run. Okay, so it forces your opponent to spend a great deal of time having to go over with their kids how to move, shift, slide, run across the formation as a linebacker or a defensive end or whatever to make sure you get lined up correctly. And the more they're doing that, the less they're getting reps versus the core of your offense, whatever that may be. Okay? So I think that's very, very important. Number 4, I believe all the trading and shifting can create conflict for field and boundary teams or teams that are strong and weak. Okay, and we'll see that as the film clips continue. Number 5, this is important because of the play action pass piece, that you can create second and third level confusion. If I've got an unbalanced over here and then within 5 or 6 seconds I have an unbalanced over there, now all those second and third level guys that are out there on the perimeter, does it change their rules? Is somebody changing responsibility? Who had the flat over here, now who's got the flat there? So forth and so on. Then you get into unbalanced sets, who's eligible, who's not eligible. Is the short side of the formation a tight end, or is it the tackle? And the tight end's over to the strength, where now he's ineligible. Is the tight end to the short side, where he's now eligible, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that creates a lot of advantages there. Okay, number 6, our goal is to create exposed flanks and bubbles on the line of scrimmage. I've already mentioned that earlier. And number 7, and lastly, the trading and shifting, I think it gives you the ability to stay out of some bad plays. And you may ask, well, what do you mean by that? Well, most of us should have, and if you don't, you need to research it, that if you do shifts, some trading and trade formations, and the defensive people are able to match that and they're able to balance their front, and what you were trying to create isn't there, you've got to have the communication systems to get out of a bad play, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Bottom line is this. At the end of the day, everyone who runs a program, offensively, defensively, you have to develop your own system. And specifically with the wing tee, you have to have your own formula for success. It can't be mine. It can't be the other local coach who you're trying to emulate or whatever. You have to find your own formula. And I will say this again for about the second time, you can't outthink yourself, and you can't do too much. That's the biggest thing you should take from this. Don't outthink yourself, and don't try to do too much. Second bullet point is you can't do everything, and you can't copy everyone else's approach to make it fit your program. Last bullet is, bottom line is you have to hang your hat on something. I'm a buck sweep program, okay? We do other things, but our primary core is off of buck sweep. I've been that since 1992, and however many more years I coach, that will not change. When you play our program, you know that you will have to stop buck sweep, and if you don't, it's probably going to be a long night. Think like this, as an offensive person who's running the wing tee. When it comes to what I'm going to show you, the trading and shifting, I want you to think about, as you're watching, if you were a defensive coordinator, would you want to have to prepare for what you're seeing on film as you're breaking down your opponent on Saturday or Sunday as you're doing your next week's prep? And what you're seeing, is that just going to make that person say, oh gosh, I don't want them to do that. Now I got to cover this. Now I got to do that. So think like a defensive coordinator would about, would you want to have to spend the time to prepare for all the things that I'm going to show you here. Some general thoughts on this topic and wing tee in general. Offense needs to have enough variations to cause defensive prep issues, okay? You can't be too vanilla. Second, each week you should always have some things that your opponent hasn't seen on film that maybe not prepared for, some formation or schemes that they haven't seen, okay? That can always work to your advantage. We try to do that every single week. Your objective, bullet point 3, your objective is to be able to do this without changing your core of your offense or confusing your players. Confused players don't play well, all right? You young guys out there, if your team or your players aren't picking up on how you're instructing something, or they can't pick up the numbering system or whatever, they're confused, they're not going to execute very well, because the wing tee is purely execution. And if you can't get them to execute, you're going to struggle and you're going to become frustrated. You're going to say, well, this offense doesn't work. No, that's not true. The offense works. It's worked since the beginning of football, whenever the wing tee came in the 40s, 50s, 60s. Okay, so Don't confuse your kids. Make it simple. Fourth bullet point, the more time you can cause your opponents to practice getting lined up properly, the less time they have to rep versus your offensive plays. I already talked about that. Then the bottom line is, versus the wing T, if teams don't line up properly, they are at a marked disadvantage. So your job, your goal as a coach, is to get teams to struggle getting lined up properly. Then that's one of the battles. The other battle is now they have to stop what it is that you're going to do, whether it's the bellies, the jets, the rockets, the crisscross, the buck sweep, waggle, whatever it is. Now they have that to deal with also. Simple ways to create formation advantage. Let's get into formation discussion here. I will show you some of these later on so they make sense. We can scramble. I'll show that in a second. Then you get into unbalanced. The more I coach wing T, the more I go to multiple unbalanced sets. I think unbalanced sets forces defense to have to make decisions, okay? If you're just lining up in a vanilla tight end wing and split end slot or whatever, that's a balanced formation. All they do is line up in base and they're good. Once you start getting into unbalanced sets, I think that is a real advantage. The running back and the wing to the same side of the formation, I refer that as strong and weak. So we have a tight end to the right for us, that'd be red. I use words for everything, I don't use numbers. That'd be red, and I'd say red strong. That tells the running back to line up in the backfield to the strength of the formation. So now you have tight end, wing, dive back, running back in the same side of the formation. Running back and wing away from the tight end would be weak then, okay, to the split or short side. Okay, if you put your running back and wing with a split end, somebody's got to move. So if I have a split end, wing in the slot, running back in a dive back position to the split side, somebody has to make an adjustment. It's either going to be the free safety or the outside backer. Then if I take that wing and put him out as a twin look, that really is going to make somebody have to move, okay? Another way to create strengths create advantages is trade your strength at the line of scrimmage. Okay, we were strong here, now we move, and now we're strong there. Okay, trade strength and then motion. So I have strength to the right, I switch my formation to the left, but then I have motion going from left to right. Okay, so there's a lot of variables in there. Again, coming back to think like a defensive coordinator would think, whether you're going to have to cover all that. So in our shifting, we can trade 1, 2, 3, more than that if we wanted to incorporate our entire offensive line. And we can do that at any point in time. Here would be a sample call of what you would see on film. We would call blue slot, tight end wing to the left, running back in the slot to the right. By the way, on a side note, we do not do right back, left back. We do wing and running back. Okay, we try to find those two positions. The wing is the wing and the running back is the running back. Okay, so our sample call would be blue slot to rip slot, sweep right. Okay, we'll see that in film segments. On unbalanced to the short side, always have the end man as an eligible receiver. So if I have heavy unbalanced to the right and all I have to the short side, I always want that short side person to be an eligible receiver. So I would have center, guard, tight end to the short side as an eligible receiver. Primary goal is to make defense change, adjust, or something you will find what a lot of people will do, they'll just stay base, they'll stay vanilla, and that works to your advantage, okay? I also, this year, put the wing into a stacked position directly behind the quarterback so he's not lined up to show strength, whether it's to the tight end or to the split side in a slot. Then I just referred that as the Q position. So when I start talking about the Q position, that's the wing lined up directly behind the quarterback. Formation trades and shifts. How do we do that? We do it through verbally or hand motion by the quarterback to make people move. We do that 3 different ways. We do it from the line of scrimmage, where we go up and line up into a formation on the line of scrimmage, and then we move from that. Or we can do it from our scramble set, and I'll tell you what scramble real quick is the linemen are up on the line of scrimmage, everybody else in a stacked I position, 6 guys lined up behind the center, and then they move and they go to their formation. Okay, so that's scramble. Or I can do a combination of 1 and 2. I can line up and scramble, move to a formation, then move again to another formation. Okay, sample call would be red slot to Liz, sweep left for us. Sample call, scramble, we're lined up vertically. Big red for us would be unbalanced to the right. To big blue, unbalanced to the left. All these players are moving, changing positions, and then we could run buck sweep or whatever it is we call. The simplicity is that you can shift from one formation to any formation in your playbook. So take your kids, have them do that for 5 minutes, and they'll pick it up real quick. Okay, guys, line up in red. Okay, now move to Liz, which is split for us. That's split in over to the left, unbalanced. And you'll see how easy it is for those guys to do that. Okay. Post trade and shift calls. So I talked about this earlier. What if a defense is aligned to defeat what you've called? Simple solution. All we do is say opposite, opposite. All that means is we're running the same play to the opposite direction. And some young guys on my staff, when they first came on, said, well, the defense will know what you're doing. And I said, how are they going to know what we're doing? Well, you said opposite. Well, opposite means what to the defense? They don't know what the play is. They don't know what the direction is. It doesn't make any difference. Okay, so he finally figured that one out. And the second thing is what we just call gold. And gold is, and you can change gold to a different word. It doesn't make any difference. Where you're going to automatically go to something in your offense that you're going to run automatically if you don't get a look you like. Okay, gold could be buck sweep, gold could be belly, gold could be waggle, gold could be 3-step drop, whatever. And you could change that from quarter to quarter or at half or whenever you wanted to. Okay, so you just say gold, 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 and everybody knows, okay, what we're running is off, and we're going to run our gold call for that series or quarter or half. There's scramble. So we come out of the line of scrimmage, and we huddle, by the way. We always huddle, and we're always under center. And so the players would line up in that formation, and then on the quarterback's movement, they would sprint. Now, that's a key point. Sprint, not jog, sprint to your formation. Okay, so that's scramble. Here's red strong. I'm just going to go through. Most of you probably have all these formations, okay? And I'm a big advocate of when you do things by formation, you better make sure that you can do enough of your offense to where you're not too predictable. So right now, what can I run out of this strong? Well, I've got dive over here. I'm a big dive person. And we got belly the other way, we got belly option to the split side. I can motion the wing across for belly. I can go waggle back to the right. So I can go trap either way. So there's enough in the offense to where I can still run the majority of what I have out of that formation. There's weak, so both backs are to the same side. There's, most of you call that over, we call it Liz. So there's a split end over, unbalanced. So you see the tight end to the right is in a eligible position. And so you have a 2-man surface here with the running back and the tight end as far as 2 receivers eligible to there. So you have belly pass there and everything else that you have. You have buck sweep both ways, belly both ways, trap both ways. So we have plenty there. Big for us means heavy unbalanced, either side, right or left. Blue is to the left, red would be to the right, and we make the split end go to the short side. Or you replace him with another tight end. Twins, there again, somebody has to displace, as you can see on the screen. You could have walked the free safety out and kept the linebacker intact. Another really good alignment there. Belly right there is very good. Belly pass, whatever you would want there. Ace is, for us, double tight end, double wing, balances everything up and gives a 10-gap defensive scheme that they have to equate for. So now I get into unbalanced one side, but then we put our backs into a weak set. So here we have unbalanced to the left, Liz weak. There's Liz to the left, split in over, but a weak set width to the short side of the formation. Now you have your wing and running back to the same side. There's Liz twins. So we have unbalanced to the left with the split end, both tackles over, tight into the short side, and now we have a twin look out of the Liz. East and west to us is the split and the wing on the same side of the formation, but the running back opposite. So we refer to that as east and west. Wham is a formation where we take the wing, put him out as a flanker, and it's also a motion. So if we called blue wham, that would be the wing lined up as a flanker to the tight end side, and he's going to go in motion and come inside. Okay, that can be off a buck sweep where he's going to come inside and crack. He could run across the field on waggle going to that direction. And you can play a little game over here at the split end and the wing coming across. The wing could replace the split end's deep corner route, or he could do the drag with the tight end and send the tight end through the middle of the field. So there's a lot of variations there. Ace T, I run that in short yardage situations where you have dive, pretty good there, belly both ways. So there's doubles, that's double split, double slot, pretty good if you don't have a lot of quality at tight end position, another good formation there. And then lastly, I mean, we have a lot more formations. I can only show so many, but again, we call this nasty. It's kind of a little different. The wing and running back are inverted off the line of scrimmage, and the two tight ends or tight end and split end widen out. You have the same alignment, it's just you create that bubble, and that is good because it forces that end man on the line of scrimmage some conflict. What does he do? Does he widen? Does he stay where he's at, which gives you great angles for buck sweep? If they walk the linebacker up and have to get into a front they don't want to get into, now you have dual responsibility players potentially on the line of scrimmage that may have flat responsibilities, so kind of like that. What we're going to do now is I'm going to transition into film clips, and most of the film clips are going to be all the trading and shifting and backfield sets. When I show film clips, I don't have to show you plays where there's a 60-yard touchdown. The outcome of the play may be a 5-yard gain. That's not my point to show you the film clip. The point is to show you my topic as far as the trading and shifting and formation type things. So let's go ahead and move now into watching some film clips. Okay, now the first one is just a little wrinkle that I came up with this year, and that's where I talked to you a few minutes ago about putting the wing in the Q position. The reason I called it the Q, because I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I thought, what am I going to call that? I can't call it stack and all. So I just said he's lined up right behind the quarterback, which begins with the letter Q. So I just called it the Q. So the call would be, let's say, red Q, waggle left. All it tells the wing to do is line up direct behind the quarterback, and you may say, well, what does he know what to do? I tell him, you do what you're supposed to do from that position, and if you have to motion, then you go. I don't call the motion. He knows to do that on his own, okay? So here we have waggle keep. Now, waggle keep tells the lineman, the quarterback's keeping the ball, so get out on the flank, do your responsibilities of both guards log and lead, and we don't have to worry about guys downfield. We know it's a predetermined run. So here we go scramble, and there's the wing stacked. So right out defensively, we haven't declared where he's going, and then and right before the snap, there he goes, and we're just keeping on waggle. Okay, let's look at that again. So you're going to see the scramble, all the vertical players, then you're going to see them go to their formation. The wing is going to stay in the Q position, then right before the snap, he's going to take off to where he's supposed to go. And we have him on this be a lead blocker. So he's not running into the flat or he's not doing any drag. He's just running. There he is on the outside flank. There's that edge defender. He just picks him up, and there's not any deception about what we're doing. Okay, next we're going to go Q toss. So what we're going to do is we're going to toss the ball, put the wing in the Q position, and again, he's going to be a lead blocker. We didn't scramble, we just went Q, there it is, there's our set, and now he's out on the edge as a lead blocker. Let's see it again from the beginning. So again, the Q just refers to where the wing stacks. And some of you may have this, if not, it's an easy thing to put in. And I'm not going to get into each and every player position and what they're doing there and what their responsibility is. Most of you will know those. Now we're going to go Q sweep. So we're going to take the wing, put him in a Q position, then we're going to go ahead and run sweep. Now he's going to have to go to his position. So here we have Q, and we're going to run buck sweep to the right. So he's going to get over there, get set. He's going to get his down scheme, front side guard kicking out, backside guard J. Everybody else is down on their track. We tell our kids, you stay on the track and don't get off of it. So here we have an even front, walked up backer, Q. There's your seam run lane for your buck sweep. Next, we're going to go Q belly, which I kind of like. It really becomes an ISO. So right now, as you see, we're going to be in red, Q, belly right. There's the Q, there's the motion. It just becomes an ISO, pretty much. Let's see that again. Now that's to the tight end side. A lot of you referred that to down. I refer to belly as belly, whether it's right, left, or to the strength or to the weakness. Used to call it down, but got away from it because it's the same play. Now there we just based that also. We didn't have any change on scheme there. Okay, now we're going to toss. So right now to the Q, we've gone sweep, we've gone waggle, we've gone belly, and now we're going to go toss. So we're going to line up. There goes our scramble, Q, toss to the running back. Very simple things. Doesn't change anything what you do offensively. You're not adding any rules. You're not adding anything. You're just putting that wing in that position. And those wings are usually pretty smart guys. And if you wanted to down the road, you send him out on pass routes from that position. Okay, let's transition to some shifting. Okay, this is the bread and butter of what I really wanted to show you. So here we go. We're going to go blue, which means tight end and winger to the left. We're going to shift to big into the boundary. Both tackles over, tight end over, and you're going to see how this plays out within 3 or 4 seconds. So we're in blue. There they go. The back shift, the split end comes over, and now you see the unbalance into the boundary and what kind of hole that creates. Okay. Let me start this back from the beginning. You'll see it play itself out. Okay, there we're into the field. Now we're into the boundary. And you can see they don't get lined up correctly. So now we have a pretty good flank right there and pretty good run lane on the buck sweep into the boundary out of an unbalanced set. Okay, now this is a good one. So we're going to go scramble. So I'm going to tell you guys, you listen to these and you go online to look at Nate's product, which he's doing a great job. Spread the word on that with this website, and you're going to gain something. Here's something that if you don't do, I would do it in a heartbeat and doesn't take any time or effort for you. So we're going to go scramble. We're going to come out and line up in our vertical line. Then we're going to go to ace. Ace is double tight, double wing. Then we're going to shift to Liz, which is the split in over to the left, and run jet to that formation. So you're going to see a scramble, you're going to see a shift, and then you're going to see another shift. And if you want to time this on a stopwatch, go ahead and do it, and you can see that it doesn't take that much time. But the defense has to respond a whole bunch and get lined up. So let's just count it out. There's scramble, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, 1006, 1007. So it took 6 to 7 seconds for us to scramble, get into a formation, shift the formation, and the defense has to deal with all that. Let's look at it again. There we go, scramble. We're lined up into a balanced set. Now we shift to an unbalanced set, and then we run our play jet to that side. And again, I'm not trying to show you 16-yard runs every time. Okay, let's move on. Now we're going to go ace to big blue, sweep left. So we're in ace, balanced set, double tight end, double wing. We're going to shift to an unbalanced, opposite, and there's our buck sweep. Okay, let's look at it again. You will notice the split end is going to go opposite. We want our true tight end on the unbalanced set on the heavy. That's his rule. He goes to the heavy side of the formation. Okay. Okay, now we're going to go big red. I like this. So here we have the ball pretty much in the middle of the field. We're going to be big. We're going to go heavy to the right, both tackles, tight end, wing. To the short side, all we have is a guard and split end. So we're going to go from that unbalanced set to the complete opposite. There's 5 people moving right there. And again, I'm going to come back to the one thing I talked about as a defensive coordinator, think how they would think. Is that something you'd want to deal with every play to have to be able to adjust? Let's look at it from the beginning. Big to big. And there's your bubbles and flanks exposed at the line of scrimmage. Now we're going to go blue into the boundary, so we're going to have our formation to the boundary. Figure out, if you can see our opponent here, they are definitely going to be either a strength team. As you look at the red jerseys, they are either a strength team or a field and boundary team. Right now it looks like they're waiting for strength, so we're going to go blue into the boundary and then flip over to the field with unbalanced. So here we're going to go blue to rip slot and then just run toss. There they are getting lined up. There they are flipping again, so definitely a strength team. We have a nice little 4 or 5 yard run there. Let's look at that one more time. I want to show all these to you twice because I know how it is sitting out there wanting to know, let me see that again. So that's a tackle coming over with the wing coming over. And there we go. You know, wing T guys are usually patient guys. I'm a patient guy. A 4 or 5 yard play is okay with me. If you're a spread guy, you don't like 4 or 5 yard runs, okay? That's another advantage of wing T that we have is make your opponent become impatient, okay? If you're playing spread teams, excuse me, spread teams, make them become impatient. Okay, here we go. We're going to go scramble. This is a good picture. Vertical line, we're going to go to big red and run sweep. But what if we went big red and shifted over to Liz to the other side or big to the other side? Again, I'm trying to emphasize during this segment, make defenses have to prepare for this, and it's not hard for your kids, all right? So here we go. We're going to go scramble to ace, then shift to big red, and there we go. Pretty easy to do. We'll see it one more time. Again, I know some coaches get into showing you specific things like the front side guard or tackle. I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to give you a broad base understanding of how maybe this could be incorporated in your program to help you out. And if it does, that's great. If it doesn't, then that's okay too. Okay, so now we're going to go blue to rip slot and go belly. So you can see our opponent is lining up vertically like we're lining up and trying to match strength for strength by formation. So they spent a lot of time this week having to rep all this. So there we go from blue to rip, and now we have motion with it, and now we go belly. Now that's not a great, that's a 3-yard run. That's not the point. The point is the sequence. We go blue to split in over unbalanced, then motion is involved, and then we run belly. I mean, you could run jet back to this short side. It doesn't make any difference. You run whatever whatever it is. Now we're going to go red, that's tight end wing to the right, to red weak. Remember, the weak set puts both the wing and the running back on the same side of the formation. So he's going to line up over here to the right, then he's going to shift over here to the left, and we're going to keep him home to take off, to pick up that overhang there, and then we're just going to run waggle. Just hit the fullback in the flat. Again, not that 29-yard run, it's just the sequence of how we try to do things. And we keep that wing home. He doesn't run a route. You lose a receiver, but you gain a person protecting on waggle. Okay? Next film clip is going to be red to red weak and waggle left, the same thing you just saw. Same thing you just saw. We got about 8 or 10 more clips here, guys. So there's a weak set, wing's going to stay home. We just dump it off to the fullback in the flat. Not a difficult concept. The wings rule is when he's in that weak position on waggle, he's a protector because we're getting pressure off the edge. We can tag that and release him if we want, or we could run belly pass right there, release him to the flat on his arrow route, do a lot of different things. Next, we're going to go ace, balance set, and then go big blue, and go sweep. As you guys can see, I'm a big buck sweep type of program. Not trying to outthink ourselves. And if you, like I said, a lot of guys I speak at clinics talk about time and do you have enough time to do that since you huddle? Well, yeah, it's pretty easy. Your kids just get used to it, that's all. Let's go ace. Now we're going to run Willie. Steve, what's Willie? Well, Willie for us is named after my father and begins with a W, so it's the double exchange handoff in the backfield. Running back to wing or wing to running back. So we're going to go shift. We're going to go ace, and then we're going to shift to blue slot, defense making their adjustments. Then we just run the inside reverse. Horrendous cut by the wing. You guys will laugh when you see this. I mean, all he's got to do is bounce that to the outside a little bit and he walks into the end zone. But anyway, so there we go from blue or ace to blue slot and then run misdirection off of the shifting. Good execution. Next, we're going to go, now, we're going to go really big. So we're going to bring all linemen to the right of the formation except the backside is only going to have one offensive lineman, okay? So you may get a kick out of this. Say, oh my goodness, look at that. Fullback's going to fill, so you end up with one on the backside. I know it looks a little bit funny, but again, that's one of those things you could do the following week where people don't see it. Guarantee you get them outflanked, guaranteed. And you just walk into the end zone. Looks a little unusual. Well, your defense has not seen that at all, guaranteed that. Next, we're going to go scramble. Here we see our scramble. We're going to go to ace, double tight, double wing, then go to big So here, everything I've talked about today is going to come into play right now here with this film clip. Scramble, shift to this, and then shift to an unbalanced set. There we go, scramble to ace, to big, and now that unbalances into the boundary, so your strength teams and field teams and all that kind of stuff have a little bit of a decision to make. There goes the tackle over. The coaching point in there is you have to really coach up those split ends if you're going to keep them in the game and keep them on the field to that short side, because they're not used to blocking and things of that nature, but that's what you can do during individual. Okay, we're going to go red slot to weak. I do some different presentations on dive. It's a great football play for wing T teams. There's no motions. You're just going to see a straight ahead dive. Oldest play in football, most effective play in our offense. We run dive anymore as much as we run buck sweep. Let's look at it again. I know this is a different topic, but the straight ahead dive play, I mean, it's the old Oklahoma drill, and you just come off the football and it's just man on man. And we'll say it one more time because I want you to watch the outside backer. He's going to jump outside. It's something they don't see very often. We run a pass off of this. We run a keep off of this. So, good stuff. Okay. Here we're going to go big to big. By this point, as we're getting ready to close up the presentation, you're starting to get a feel for the shifting and trading and how effective that can be. Very easy to do. And then you can line up and not shift at all, and they're sitting there expecting or waiting for you to shift. Okay, there's big to big. Next, we're in a west, split in and wing to one side. Now the tackle comes over, and now we run sweep. So all we're doing is trying to give the defense different things to prepare for, different things to have to defend. Here we go, ace to rip. Split end's going to go out wide, create that running lane, and then just go sweep. Not complicated. Just a couple more here. Here's our strong. We talked about our strong set. So here we have big, and we have our wing and running back to the same side of the unbalanced formation. Well, he's in a great position for the dive. And if you can see that bubble right here between two guards, center's uncovered, there's a great, great dive situation. Sometimes we seem to outthink ourselves. Now here's a different formation. I'll show you this. We don't throw the ball a whole lot, but we have a trips formation. There's the running back in the slot, wing out into the trips set. And again, this is one of those things where maybe you have in your back pocket that your opponent isn't ready for or hasn't seen. Okay. So all we would call that is red trips. Just a different formation. Almost done here. So here we go big and we go strong. So we're going to go heavy to the right. Strong puts both running back and wing on the same side of the formation, and we just run our dive play. Pretty easy football. Okay. Strong again. We could go toss over there. We could go belly there. We just run straight ahead dive. This is getting kind of same thing for you. I'm just going to fly through these now. You've seen enough of it. You should have a feel for it. Pretty simple there. Again, backfield sets. Here's the trips again. You could put in draw, screen with your fullback. I mean, there's a lot of things you can put in when you do that. You don't have to vacate your core of your offense when you get in one of those. So here's a weak set. So we have unbalanced to the sideline. On big, we go, the backfield is a weak set. Wing and running back to the same side. They're both lead blockers now. And we just run belly to the short side. Again, going back to one of the first screens where I talked about not being predictable by formation, motions, etc. Okay? Here's a weak set, running back and wing to the short side, to the split side, and we just run belly there. They both become lead blockers. Fullback has good instincts, and that's a pretty good run. Just multiplicity. So we're going to go big to the left, go strong, running back and wing to the same side, and then all we're going to do is run the straight ahead dive again. Some of you are going to contact me and say, hey, send me that stuff about your dive series, because it's great stuff. It's great stuff. Okay, as we're closing up here, again, there's the bubble. We're going to attack the bubble with belly. So you're in a strong set, so you run the belly. Here's a weak set. You guys have all this on video, so you can go back and study it. We'll make this the last one. So there's our big. There's belly to the short side again. You could run belly pass over there. So again, that comes back to the formation. How much of your offense can you run out of a formation that you want to use? So right now, on that weak set, I've got belly. I've got buck over here if I want. I got belly pass over there. I have waggle to that short side. I got enough of my offense. So with that being said, I really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Appreciate Nate and his father, Larry, and Chief Pigskin. Great concept by Nate. Spread the word to your buddies, and hope you got something out of that. You have my contact information. Feel free to contact me. I love sharing with coaches, and I'll sign off with Buck Sweep forever. Thank you.